Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood, stumbling through the title of my own show. Yes. Well, how's everybody doing? Right? Just checking in, making sure everybody's good. I asked that just because covering these stories, a lot of them can be kind of intense or not positive, and that can wear on me, and maybe it can wear on you. So I just want to make sure everyone's doing okay, because I've had some rough days. I've gone through some tough stuff, some personal things, and so I think it's good to just say that, to acknowledge that. So I want to talk about this ongoing pipeline thing, the Keystone pipeline. There's a story here in Truthdig.com. Tribes deepen commitment to protect homelands from oil pipelines. And this is written by Sarah Sunshine Manning, who's an independent journalist, and is a citizen of the Shoshone-Paiute tribes of the Duck Valley Indian Reservation in Idaho and Nevada, and a descendant of the Chippewa, Cree, and Hopi tribes. So what this story goes into, basically, I covered the spill of the Keystone XL pipeline, 5,000 barrels of oil. And at the time that spill first happened, it was then up for a vote because the spill was in South Dakota, so it was up for a vote in Nebraska. Nebraska, in a very dumb way, voted 3-2 to let the pipeline continue. But the approval, this is interesting, is for an alternate route, far from a complete victory for TransCanada. TransCanada is the company that's the TransCanada Keystone pipeline. So what this article is going into is a bunch of organizations and Native American tribes are getting together. They've been getting together to fight these legally, to fight these pipelines, which is what they should be doing, because they're not going away. They're not stopping. These pipelines are going to continue until everybody gets involved. And what you'll see here is how these organizations are doing it. And it's something you might want to get involved with or help create in your area, because the pipelines are coming if they're not already there. Pipelines, as I've talked about, are part of the illusion that investing in oil is still relevant. The pipelines are basically just a smokescreen or a tactic to show, hey, look, no reason to pull your money out of fossil fuels because we're building pipelines. If we weren't going to be using oil down the road, why would we be building pipelines? So it's what this is about. It's the carbon bubble. I've referenced this numerous times. It is going to pop. The governor of the Bank of England said this 2 years ago. He suggested deflating the bubble versus letting it just pop, which a bubble bursting is a bad thing for the global economy. So what does the oil industry do? Double down on stupid pipelines, double down on oil, pay to get an idiot in the White House who surrounds himself with climate change deniers, puts the head of ExxonMobil as the Secretary of State. This is our current corporate America. This is what it looks like. So here's how you got to resist it. This pipeline and what happened in Nebraska has galvanized Indigenous people and their allies in the commitment to protect the sacred, and specifically to protect their homeland from oil pipelines. The same day of the KXL decision, that's the decision in Nebraska, representatives from tribal nations in the path of the pipeline and environmental organizations gathered on the Lower Brule Indian Reservation in South Dakota to sign the international treaty to protect the sacred from tar sands projects. Environmental organizations and tribal organizations getting together. This is what it's going to take. All these little grassroots organizations coming together. Grassroots Organized specifically planned the gathering for this important day. Their goals? To renew the commitment to protect the sacred and to begin strategizing immediately after the KXL decision. Quote, we're highly disappointed that the state of Nebraska has chosen to give a conditional permit to the KXL pipeline. That's because politicians are bought and paid for. Said Sisseton Wapitan Tribal Chairman Dave Flute of the Lake Traverse Indian Reservation in South Dakota. We're disappointed in light of the leak that has just happened in our Aboriginal homelands, which is just mind-boggling. 5,000 barrels, which is 210,000 gallons, spills, and people go, yeah, we still want these pipelines. We still got to have these happen. Vice News reported that the amount of the spill could be as much as actually 600,000 gallons. Though the spill was not within the boundaries of the Lake Traverse Reservation, it is within the traditional territory of the Sisseton Wapitan Dakota and the Greater Oseti-Sakowin, the 7 council fires of the Great Sioux Nation composed of Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota nations. Someone from one of the tribes said, they told me we're outside of the jurisdiction, but I let them know too that these are our Oseti-Sakowin homelands. They promised that these pipelines were going to be made with state-of-the-art equipment and that any spills were going to be minimal. But hundreds of thousands of gallons are not minimal. See, this is the bullshit. This is what this is the talking points that they give the politicians who are on the take to pass these things through. If you're a die-hard red state Republican, an oil spill is still bad for you too. Your Make America Great hat isn't going to protect you from an oil spill. And oil companies are liars. They're going to tell you, oh, state-of-the-art, and they say, well, spills will be minimal. So they're already saying there's going to be spills. Like they know there's going to be spills. They're not saying spills will never happen. There hasn't been a spill in 25 years. It won't happen. They're like, there's going to be spills. They just won't be that bad. So stop getting all crazy about it. They know there's going to be spills. Spills, I don't know what it's going to take. Like oil coming out of your tap for someone to go, oh, maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. So all these tribes get together to form a treaty, including representatives from not just South Dakota in that area, the Ponca Nation of Oklahoma, the Coolwiska Lakota of Lower Brule, the Hunkpatty Dakota of Crow Creek, the Ihangtawan Nakota of Yankton, the Oglala Lakota of Pine Ridge, the Sik and Agnew Lakota of Rosebud, the International Indigenous Youth Council, the Braveheart Society, Thunder Valley Community Development Corp., the Indigenous and Environmental Network, Dakota Rural Action, Greenpeace, and 350.org. So this is what you got to do. You got to fight these corporations the way they fight, which is legally and in the courts. Resistance is great, and people standing there, that's good, and it's good, but, you know, the major media kind of stopped covering Standing Rock after a while. It's weird, the corporate media that has, these oil companies buy ad time with them. We're here today to redefine strategies and to be unified in doing that, said Faith Spotted Eagle of the Ihangtawan Dakota Territory. Spotted Eagle is a founder of the Braveheart Society, a grassroots and traditional women's society of the Oseti-Sakowin. We've been here before time and time again, but we just shake it off and then go forward stronger and more determined, which is what I suggest to you. So this is what's going on. This is how they're doing it. Mother Earth is sick and she has a fever, says Arvol Looking Horse, a Lakota spiritual leader and keeper of the White Buffalo Calf Pipe, addressing the crowd at a treaty gathering. This is very serious because the pipelines are affecting our first medicine, the water. Looking Horse, like many leaders and other people of the Oseti-Sakowin, is committed to protecting the earth. In our traditional ways, when you make a commitment, once you make that commitment, that's your life, he said. So if there's a pipeline coming near where you live, like Pennsylvania, they're doing fracking in Colorado, I would reach out to some of these organizations and say, how have you done specifically? What have you done specifically? And get that information and set it up that way and get everybody involved and find alternative media to talk about it. Try the regular media. You can try the mainstream media. They might cover it, they might not, but they'll cover it in that bullshit corporate media way. They'll cover your side of, oh, the oil, where we don't like the oil and it's leaking and we're scared of the pipelines, we want them blocked. Well, let's hear both sides of the story. And then here comes, Johnny Sportcoat with his oil tie going, well, the pipelines are fine and we don't need, liberal hysteria keeping us from driving our cars as good patriotic Americans to football games where we celebrate the bombing of poor people. So now I'm going to hop in my F-18. So thanks for watching the show. Thanks for paying attention, you guys. I'm glad you're coming here to get your news and information. I'm glad you're like, I'm done with the corporate media, because they're not covering this. The corporate media is not covering this. Go to my Patreon page. I need your support. I've already been interviewing potential part-time producers for the show, which is going to make me be able to do way more stuff. December 17th, I am directing a stand-up comedy show for the FNX network. It's in San Bernardino, California. We've got 4 amazing comedians. The link is at grahamelwood.com below. And like and subscribe and share these videos.